Hello and welcome to the Psychology of a Lockdown series. My name is Nitesh Batra. I am a mindfulness, compassion, and a yoga teacher. I'm a certified compassion cultivation trainer. I'm also the founder of the Mindful Initiative. I'm joined by Swati Desai. Swati, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, Nitesh, this is Dr. Swati Desai. I am a psychology practitioner as well as a certified teacher of mindfulness and self compassion. And I'm a founder of To Meditate.
Thank you so much, Swati. The idea behind this series is to provide simple ways based on mindfulness and compassion to resolve some of the issues that a lot of people are struggling because of the lockdown, the isolation, and social distancing.
Yes, and our today's specific topic is to help working parents who are working from home to discuss the type of stresses they may be experiencing and ways to address those issues. So let's begin. And I suggest let's all begin by taking one deep breath.
Stress is one of the biggest causes that people uh, go into a depression, people go into a different zone, whether a lockdown is there or not. I think stress has been one of the biggest factors why people have been struggling. But given that there has been a huge change in our life, our space has been constrained, there has been more time in our hands, but that time is now spent with each other, facing our couples, facing our spouses, facing our family, facing our kids. And earlier we used to go out, so our stresses are increasing. There is a lot of uncertainty that has come because of coronavirus, and we don't know what the future looks like.
And also, there is no help. That's the other issue that parents who are working from home are facing. All the things need to be done by them, whether it is cooking or cleaning or childcare. And all that puts an immense amount of pressure on everything they need to juggle. Some of them may even have their own parents staying with them. And all that, again, it's not easy to deal with this situation. So the stressor is the problem number one that we are experiencing.
Absolutely. And on top of that, people still have to do work. There is, I think most of the people who are in corporate jobs, they are working from home, so they have to log in different time zones, and kids are not going to school. So how do you keep them busy? What is
And
that?
even when they are going to school online, if you have more than one child and one may be online schooling, the other one may be a young child. So you have to manage two different schedules or three or four, whatever number of kids you have. And that's also very hard. And I also want to point to another thing, Nitesh, which is on women. In a lot of cases, this may put additional pressure because women are typically primary caretakers in the house. If they are working outside the home, then they still have to do their own work and as well as manage the chores at home. If they are homemakers, then obviously whatever time they get off when kids are in school, that's gone. Another thing that can happen is if it's a traditional family, they may expect the man not to work as much, or even the men who want to work may not know how to do it. They may get lost. So traditional households may put even more pressure on the men. So that's the other type of stressor that can come up because of the lockdown situation.
So new situations, new ways to deal with it. And one of the ways that uh, I believe that we can handle this situation is to have a safe space in the house for each individual. And by safe space, I mean it's a safe haven, that if you're feeling low, let's say, for example, you would just go into that space and be by yourself. No one's going to disturb you. And whether you're a child or an adult, each person should have that space in the house.
You're
In
talking about a physical space
a physical
where
space,
maybe it could be a meditation cushion, it could be a window by the window,
anything.
somewhere. Yeah.
Anything. In addition to that, one additional suggestion that I have is have a common space where if someone is feeling low and they need some sort of solace, they'll just go and sit there. And another family member may look at them and they're like, hey, are you feeling low a little bit? Why don't we talk about something? So that can be a common space where they can communicate, where they can talk to each other. But
Yes.
the other space can be their individual spaces. So have
Ye-
these two separate things for
Yes,
that.
absolutely. That's a great suggestion. The other way, I think we need to have space is psychological space. So we also need to have a refuge where we feel okay, we feel grounded. And for that purpose, in fact, I have created 6 activities that you can practice. And those activities can be done anywhere, anytime. And we have the link to those 6 activities in the description. And we'll discuss that a little bit more.
Yeah, and maybe when you go to your safe haven space, that would be a great time for you to listen to those activities. But as you said, we'll talk about them later,
Yes.
and we can discuss it then.
Yeah. So the second problem area, the first problem area, like you said, is all these stressors. The second problem area is conflicts may surface because you are a family with kids and you may have your older parents also in the house, everybody in 4 walls, and whatever your otherwise irritations or conflicts that you are able to put up with, you may not be able to just tolerate them as much. You may have your own triggers, and the triggers may get, like somewhat more explosive than usual. And that's normal, that's understood, and that's the first thing I want to say. Conflicts will be there, and that's normal part of being together in one space.
Yeah, and just taking that a little bit deeper, sometimes we have
Mhm.
conflicts with ourselves. If we are having conflicts with our mind because I want to do one thing and your mind is saying one thing, and the surroundings are not making that happen, and
Absolutely.
and different sorts of conflicts like Swati mentioned come up, and unfortunately you cannot run away from anything because you're locked down.
Lockdown. And parents, sometimes if you have your own parents there, they may be advising you, that maybe they may feel like interference. That's an example. And you and also with kids you may feel more irritated. That's an example. But like you said, Nitesh, that's a great point. Conflicts with yourself, because sometimes you may want to do things differently. However, you are in the middle of few people with all the preferences, and how do you manage all that? And you may have conflicts with yourself. So I have one great suggestion or a way to deal with any conflict, which is loving kindness, compassion messages. What does that mean? Whenever you're experiencing conflict with someone, just close your eyes or not close your eyes and send them in your own mind, send them loving kindness, compassion messages. I'll give you 3 standard messages. Just wish to them, may you be happy, may you be peaceful, and may you find ways to resolve your conflict. May you find ways to resolve your conflict. And like you said, if you're experiencing conflict with yourself, you can send these messages to yourself too. And if you really pay attention to what you're saying, and if you keep saying it, it gives you a soft landing. And look at that person with compassion, with empathy, and with like, okay, they are struggling too, just the way I am. That actually makes it easier to deal with the conflict.
And these are some proven ways of compassion for someone else or loving kindness for someone else. Science has been backing these ways, and some of the traditions have been following this for a longer period of time.
Absolutely, yes.
But more
Yeah,
yeah,
go
I
ahead.
think in addition to that, you can make these messages physical as well. Keep the communication channels between the foundational folks at the home open, whether it's your child, whether it's with your spouse, whether it's with your parents. Maybe if you want to just write some of these messages down and pass them over, it,
Yeah,
it might be helpful for someone to look at that. So you
yeah.
make sure that the other person knows that you do care. and that
Yes, and
matters a lot.
sometimes, like creating loving activities, like, let's have a group hug with 3 breaths. Or let's do a family tree together where we talk about each person who we are writing about. Something that will allow you oxytocin release, the love chemical release. That is typically helpful when you are experiencing conflict and there is no way to just get away from it.
Yeah, and we are in it for at least some more time.
Time.
So,
Yes, yes, yes.
any way that we can overcome,
Yeah.
that we should. And one of the other, the final thing that we're going to talk about in this particular episode is the mental health issues,
Mm-hmm.
and that is the overarching thing that we are trying to work on, that people have lack of motivation. I mentioned earlier that there is depression that we deal with, and
Mm-hmm.
various kinds of depression. It might be just some surface level depression where I need some sun today, I need to go out in the balcony, or I just need to stand outside the door. But the uncertainty and the change may be causing some anxiety, and that anxiety may trigger some responses that may be unusual. How do you deal with those cases? What are
Yes,
some
and
of the...
some people may be hypochondriac to begin with. So their health related anxiety may be going up the roof. And also, people who are prone to like social anxiety or isolation to begin with, for them it may become too much to handle, not to have the usual outlet of seeing people and having their workplace contact with other people. So just know that if you have any specific mental health issue, please don't hide it. It is normal that these issues may surface even more. In extreme cases, there can be drinking and domestic violence. But regardless, go online, seek counseling, seek psychiatric help if that's what you believe you need. This is not the time to make you believe that everything is hunky dory and I can take care of things, or I cannot tell this to anybody else. Please don't get into that. And also, Nitesh, you said something about a mental health helpline.
Yes, I was about to mention that
Yeah.
Government of India is providing free counseling, free mental health advising. The number will be provided in the description. So please call that number in case you are dealing with depression, or if you feel that you're depressed, or if you have tendencies which are even further ahead from depression.
Yeah, and create support networks where if you have any friends where you feel you can talk to, you may not be talking to them about deep issues on a regular basis, but in this particular case, I have seen these messages on WhatsApp and on Facebook on a regular basis saying that if you guys want to talk, I'm available. So right now we are all in the same boat together. People are much more open to supporting each other. So just remember that.
Yeah,
Just
and
remember that.
yeah, and I think a simple, we can just make it a lot more simpler by saying, if you want to communicate, let's say through an online chat, or through a video call with a friend, you can say, why don't we have coffee together? You bring your
Yeah,
own coffee, I'll bring my own coffee. And
yeah.
in that way,
Or
there is...
wine, or
or
wine.
wine, anything,
Yeah,
anything that you would like.
yeah.
So that you are in communication, you can speak to them like you would when there is not a
Yes,
lockdown.
yes. So Nitish, we have covered 3 problem areas. One is all the stressors because of being in a closed space. Second is the conflict coming on the surface, and third is the mental health issues, and we have suggested ways to deal with it. One specific way that I would like to mention again is the 6 activities that I have created. The activities are based on mindfulness and compassion philosophies that you and I, we both are very, very familiar with, and each lesson is less than 10 minutes. I would suggest do one lesson every day, and then you can practice and use them any way you want. There are a lot of things about how to eat, or how to express gratitude, or how to find out about your own strengths, and how to feel yourself grounded with objects that are around you. There are a lot of these kinds of things that you can do. So please check that link in the description and make use of it.
these would be extremely helpful for anyone who has or has not meditated before. These are for all levels,
Yeah.
and initially, if you have never done meditation, this is a great way to get started, or this is a great way to learn ways to be compassionate to yourself and to other people mindfully.
Yes, and all not all activities include meditation. So those who don't want to meditate, there are activities for them as well. And what I want to say is we are all expected to stay calm, and it does help to create a distance between whatever you're feeling and your reaction. However, how do we do it? The question is, how do we create patience? How do you feel grounded? And that's why these activities are created for you. So please make use of them.
Perfect. Thank you so much for this, Swati, and thank you everyone for listening to us and joining us. If you have any questions, we'll leave our contact information in the description as well. Please feel free to email us. Thank
Thank
you
you,
so much.
Nitesh. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Swati.
Thank you.